GingerGM.
Hello everyone, welcome to Friday morning in England. It's 11 a.m-ish and it was really hot, sunny yesterday, and this is like typical English weather, pissing down. It's like the gods have opened up their bladders and are just having a bit of fun at the moment outside. Typical England, raining heavily on a Friday when everyone wants to go to the pub at the end of the week's work, sit outside, chill out with a nice beer, watch the footy. No chance of that today, no chance. Jen's Chess, hello sir, hope you're doing alright mate. Saying it's 30 degrees in Munich. That sounds a bit hot, but it's, you know, as long as it's not raining, at least you can sit outside, which is nice. Oh, massive thanks for the raid there. Very, very kind of you. Cheers for Liza. Yeah, cheers, very kind, welcome. We've just started the stream here. We're just talking about weather, as every Englishman does. If it's too hot we complain, if it's too cold we complain. And yeah, thanks for the raid, and go and obviously it's lovely to get people raiding, and you should go and check out the stream there. I know you don't stream as much, is that right? But you're getting back into it, yeah? Getting back into it. And check out the shop. Let me see if I can get it on my phone. You've just opened a shop, haven't you? Which does some really cool looking chess things, which I'll just try to find before we get cracking. Before we get cracking with looking at some chess. Do we want to look at some chess today? I suppose so. I've got some examples lined up for you guys, so I've got to go through my phone now and try to find this shop. So Lisa is a chess streamer from Canada. Does some really cool stuff, and just got married. So congratulations to a fellow ginger. It looks like. So good work. And yeah, streaming's hard work. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to stream. I mean, some people, you see them nowadays and they're like streaming like 3-4 hours every day. I think you have to keep a little bit fresh, right? I mean, you can't do it all the time. You have to, when you stream, you have to be a little bit alive, right? You don't want to just be zombified and like, yeah, I'm just doing this because I have to do it. That's no fun. That's no fun. That's not what we want. So go and check out Lisa's chess bits and bobs. I don't know if I've got a link to the shop. I mean, you probably can't put a link in. Let's give a little link. It's okay. I'm gonna have to find it on Twitter now. I promise I'll do it later when we've got more viewers. When we've got double number viewers here, we'll do it. But yeah, there's loads of cool little stuff in that shop there. And again, thank you for the raid. Very, very kind of you to send some people over, and hopefully I can return the favour. So what are we going to do today? Well, I've actually got some educational shit lined up, which makes a bit of a change. I normally just crack on with a bit of blitz, but we're gonna look at some very peculiar cases of promotion. And this first one is quite a famous position. You may have seen it before, but it's got a nice little story behind it. Now you can try if you want to have a go at solving this. It's white to play and win, so have a little think about it now. I'll tell you the story in a minute. It's from 1918, so I was a wee boy then, a wee little boy, and we'll have a look at it in a minute. So yeah, and again, hello to everyone else in the chat. So this is Lisa's chess shop. Yeah, Lisa's got it's a cool little chess shop. I can remember, I have to say, when I first started playing chess, I think I was about 10, 11 years old, and I went to a chess tournament, and there was a female chess player who became world under 16 champion, Ruth Sheldon. You may have heard of her, and we were kind of like rivals but friends. And I remember the first time I saw her, she had some earrings that had rooks on them, and I was like, oh man, they're so cool. You know, as a 10-year-old, I'm like, yeah, I love those earrings. So there you go and check out the shop. Just go and search Lisa's shop. I'll get a link when I can at some point. I've got to do a little bit of diving, but we'll whack that on at the end of the show. So yeah, hello to everyone else who's come along in the chat. Captain Bumratty, hello mate. Hope you're doing okay. 2 mornings in a row. What's going on? It's raining outside. And I'm up for a stream. Thought I'd come and say hello and we'll have some fun. Hello to Before Sokolovsky. Many years ago, my late granddad told me of the time he took part in a simultaneous. Is this going to be a joke? Is this going to be a joke? In the USA, he said, I managed to draw it against one of those German players. Alaska, I asked. No, he said, a bit annoyed. I'm pretty sure it was Kentucky. Oh my words. Oh my words. I mean, we've done the jokes before. We've done the chess jokes before. I'm still waiting for a really good one to come along. I'll give you a mini round of applause. That's about all you deserve, I'm afraid. I don't think we can give more than that. There we go. Okay, anyway, let's have a look at this chess. So I know a lot of you, like I said, have probably seen this puzzle before. Hello to Hero Hurl over in Japan, in Hiroshima. Is that right? Yeah, so the question is, it's white to play and win. And you've got to try to work out, obviously, if white can get a queen, yeah, happy days. So if white can get a queen, that's cool. So you want to go c7, c8, queen. So how can black try to defend against that? And we're assuming that queen versus rook is a win, generally. So white, I think we can see, is going to go c7. How can black try to stop that pawn going up? And like I said, I know this is a very famous example, but we're just going to start with this one, and the next couple of examples are a little bit harder. Let's get that grey matter of yours spinning around, working, I think is the right word. And we can have a go at this. I'm just giving you a bit of time to work out. Also, when you're playing chess, you've always got to consider your opponent's best defensive possibilities. Very important to do that. And this is a very nice little puzzle. It's nice to do some stuff in the rain. I mean, I like streaming. I always try to enjoy it. When it gets a bit like repetitive, then I have a break, which I think is important. I want to do some other stuff. I've actually decided now, guys, while you just have a look at this, I'm gonna try to do some funky stuff. So be prepared for some really weird stuff coming your way. And this, to give you a little background about this puzzle and a little bit of history, this first appeared in a newspaper in England in 1918. I don't know what the newspaper was. I think it was somewhere up north. And in the newspaper, it was given as, I don't know who run the column, probably Leonard Barden, I expect. And that was a joke. And it was given as white to play and win. And everyone's like, oh, very easy. You just queened a pawn, win. And then some people found a good defense of black, and they found the winning maneuver. It's like a staircase. So think how black can defend. And then someone said, no, it's a draw. This is a draw. And they had to rewrite it in the newspaper and say, actually, this position is a draw. And then someone else rewrote back in and said, no, it's not a draw. It's still winning. And remember, the theme of our lessons today is weird promotions. It's a bit like Donald Trump becoming Prime Minister, that kind of promotion. Not Prime Minister, that's in England, isn't it? President, that's more like it. Weird promotions. And yeah, another thing I'm doing, I'm playing on Sunday, I'm playing a match against one of the best players in India, the young Vidit, who's just really strong. I just hope I can put up a bit of a match against him and get the odd winning. Okay, so let's show you this one. So like I say, you might know the answer, but just to get into the thinking. So you've got to start with c7. Obviously, the only way to try and win. Now, how does black stop this pawn? There's no easy way for black to stop this pawn. And one of the problems that black has is the bad positioning of his king here, stuck in the corner. So you've always got to try to find hidden resources. You'd love to get the rook behind the pawn, but obviously the king would take the rook. So how can black stop the pawn? So imagine you're black here. You can't get the rook there because obviously I take the rook. You have to go check. This is the only idea. Now, after this check, there's only one square that white can move to try at, well, to win. What is the only square that white can move to? Let's play along with this. Let's try to work this out as we go. What is the only square that white can move to in order to win, and why? Why? So Nietzsche has the right idea. Lewis Hamilton, not the correct move. I'll show you why in a second. King c5 doesn't work. King c5 doesn't work. This square is a draw. If you go to this square, it's a draw. And thank you for pointing out. The king b7 doesn't work because I go rook d7. I pin the king, draw. So you have to kind of use a very common process called the process of elimination. You have to eliminate all the crap and try to find the gold, the goodness. And there's, you know, probably like in life, right? You've got to eliminate the bad things or minimize the bad things. You know, don't go too excessive with them, which I've been quite good at doing in my past, and try to find your way through the problems. So so let's get rid of the squares that don't work. We can't move the king to either of these two squares, because if you do, this move is a draw immediately, because you can't move the pawn because it's pinned. Black will take the pawn. It's a draw next move. If you move to this square, this looks okay, but now the black rook can come sneakily down here, and next move is going to get behind the king, give it a check, and whatever happens, this move, well, in actual fact, black might be winning if you queen, right? If you queen, I check you, and I do that. So there's only one square you can go to. King b5, you have to stop the black rook getting behind the pawn, and you have to keep threatening to queen. And hopefully now you see the sequence. And well done, CJ, for working out how this should continue. So now let's follow that same logic. And again, to get good at chess, you have to use basic logic. And follow that same logic and try to work out how this game should progress. Well, the only way black can try to draw is to keep checking the king. There's nothing else you can do. Otherwise, we're going to queen, right? So we can go check again, correct? And now, where should the white king go to? Let's see if you've all got this. It'd be nice if you can all, you know, we'll try to play along. We'll try to solve this together. What is the only square? See, this is great. You're getting a free lesson off a grandmaster, right? You'd pay $100 for this. You know, hundreds of dollars, maybe. I don't know, like, well, maybe $50, $20 for the cheap ones. Now, you can't go king c6 because, again, my rook comes behind the pawn. You can never move your king easily. Well, you can, but you can't move to the c file. And again, black draws by getting the rook behind the pawn. So you have to be very careful. The same goes to king c4. I move my rook behind the pawn. What happened there? Let's go back. Nice. Okay, so you have to be very careful where you move your pawn, right? If you ever go to the c file, the black rook has this defense. So the only way you can win is going king b4. So well done to everyone who found king b4. This is the correct move. And what you're aiming to do, well, what can black play here? We repeat the process. Black has to stop you from queening. You're covering that square so the rook can't get behind. The rook can't get in front. So black has to check. Black has to check. And now it's amazing how, I would say, relatively lower rated players, even players who have started, just been playing chess for not a long period of time, if you point them in the right direction, how you can really excel and surprise yourselves, and they can surprise themselves. I mean, obviously I don't know the strength of everyone here, but if you just point someone in the right direction, how they can work out very complex and long variations. And this is what you need to be, you know, to improve in chess. You need to be pointed in the right direction, just nudged in the right direction. Like with any learning, you just need to be told to go the right way. And obviously with all the stuff I do, that's what I try to teach. Now again, you can't come to the c file yet because the rook just about gets behind. But the correct way and the easiest way is king b3. Around chess, it's a good point actually. I was just wondering that if you did come here, let's have a look. You came here, I go rook d1, trying to get behind, and then you come here. This is very interesting. This is Very interesting. Maybe this also works. We're going to get this similar position in a moment. So well pointed out. This might be another way to win. It's a transposition. I think the simplest is to go king b3 because we keep the pattern. And now the black rook can't come here. It has to check. And we know the process. And now the white king can come to c2. And when this was first published in 1918, over 100 years ago, can you believe it? 103 years ago. It's this was the solution. So this was the solution. White queens the pawn. Next move, white is winning. And then some clever clogs came along, and some clever clogs wrote to the paper and said, aha, black still can draw this position. And they had to write in the paper, actually this position is still a draw. How can black try to draw this position? I know some of you already got the right solution, so let's see. How can black try to draw this position? And we'll put it on the board. Rook d4. Can you believe it? And they wrote in the paper and they said, oh, we're sorry for that last example. Rook d4 is an amazing find by Jane, who lives in Wolverhampton, who wrote in to the paper. And the point being, after we go here, what's black can draw now? What can black do to draw? Black has a drawing move. What can black play here? Black to play and draw. Thank you, Jane from Wolverhampton, for writing in and finding the solution. Rook c4. Wow. Queen takes c4. Stalemate. And then you had bloody John from Liverpool. And John from Liverpool said, no, Jane from Wolverhampton is wrong. And then they had to write another thing in the paper. And John said, actually, white is still winning this position. And in the paper, they had to say the third time, this is going back over 100 years, they said, we apologise to Jane and to everyone who's reading this, because John from Liverpool has written in and actually said that white is still winning this position if white plays the right move. John from bloody Liverpool, you're right, he knows everything. There's a couple of famous Johns from Liverpool, aren't there? John Lennon, of course, I'm thinking of. And the funny thing is, if you do now promote to a rook, this is what we're looking at, John, the clever clogs, was right. And the point is, you can't really stop the checkmate there. The bad positioning of black's king is pretty diabolical. How do you stop the rook coming over there? The only way you can stop the rook, and again you've got to try to find the best defenses, is king at rook a4. Only way. And now John pointed out the lovely win. Can you be like John? Anyone out there be like John? White to play, and what's the winning move here? Well done, Iran Chess. Well done. I think you meant b3, CJ. I'm sure you meant b3. And now we play this lovely little move, and this is actually a weird, is it a fork? Well, it creates two threats. It creates checkmate and the rook. Whatever happens, the rook comes down here, checkmate. And it was very funny to see how, you know, this went backwards and forwards, hence why this was a very famous example, probably the most famous example of promotion and how to promote. Now, like I said, that's the first of 5 puzzles I'm going to show you today. And the next puzzle, again, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to solve this. But while we do that, let me just see if I can get... I'm going to try to... I'll have to go to the website to get it. I want to get up Lisa's shop because as she did come over with a little raid, it would be nice to do that. So let me just see how I can do this. But I'll put it on the next position. The next one is white to play, and to win. So have a think about this. It's not as easy as you thought. Remember, the name of the show is Under Promotion, and it's white to play and win. And how can white win this one? For how long will you stream? Says CJ. I never really plan these things, to be honest, until I get sick of losing blitz games, or I have to do some work. Now, obviously, in these puzzles that I'm giving you guys, the solution, I'm trying to get you to think a little bit further ahead. Okay, I've got Lisa's shop here. Great. I want you to think a little bit further ahead. So what I mean by that is, try to give me a combination of moves. Get in the habit of trying to think ahead. So the obvious move is c7 and we queen, right? So then try to think about black's defensive moves. So I want to see someone who comes up the solution. Ship the cheese, love that name. Ship the cheese is already saying that there's a problem. There's a stalemate idea. So well done for seeing that. Can anyone solve this puzzle? White to play and win. And by the way, do check out this shop, especially, you know, if you want to get a little present for someone, chess related, then this has got some really cool little stuff in it. This shop that Lisa has created for, you know, she's a very creative person with some cool little things there. She's great at doing designs as well, and loads of cool little stuff. So I'm just having a look myself at the shop. Cool little key rings, chess key rings. There's some really cool little stuff there. So anyway, we'll put that in later on. So and what happens in that position around chess? You're getting better. What happens in that position after knight takes pawn? So I'm trying to see. No one's solved this yet. No one solved this yet. What happens on knight takes pawn in that position? So it's white to play and win. The solution to this is at least 4 moves long. So what is... Anyone try to get this one? I think if you promote to a knight, it's just a draw. How can you win that position? Remember, you're trying to win this position. And we have a suggestion of rook c7, but then king b6, Nietzsche. King b6 there is a draw after your rook c7. You're very close. I think Nietzsche, you're very close to getting the right solution, but very, very close. You're the closest so far. Mac Z Chess, I think you've solved it. Can you just put, just put that in the right order, please, Mac Z Chess. But well done to you, sir. Very, very nice. I think you have got the solution. I'm going to show it on the board in a minute. Someone's asking me about my thoughts. I'm playing Vidit in the Banter Blitz competition on Sunday. What are my thoughts about that? I'm very excited. I'm going to treat it... I'm not expected to win, but I'm hopefully going to get some good games, some exciting games against him, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, he's a stronger player than me, but, you know, I can still cause some problems on my day. Well done, Ship the Cheese. Well done, CJ. Now, just Ilyas, I think after king b4 in your line, knight d6 comes back to c8, and it's like the dodgy tournament. That's right, Lewis Hamilton. Okay, so let's have a look. So you've got to go c7. I think you've got the solution, so we'll show it. Now, the only way black can try drawing this, if he goes to any of these squares, you queen with check. So he has to go here. And this, if you were playing on some of the chess sites and you had auto promote on, you could easily promote to a queen, stalemate. Black is not in check. Black doesn't have a move. That is stalemate. So the only way you can try to win this, let's say you've got a knight. Well, there's just not enough material on the board. This is just a draw. I mean, I can just take there. Obviously, this is a draw. You only have a knight. You're not going to checkmate me. So the only way you can try to win is by getting a rook. And this is one of those puzzles you should be able to work out, because the moves are very forcing if you use that process of elimination. Now, the problem with king b4 is that the black knight can get back around to defend the pawn. So I go knight here, king c5, and my knight comes here. In actual fact, black may be winning this position. Probably not, because you got this one. But after check, king here, it's a draw. Because if you queen, I take it. If you take my knight, I take your pawn. So this is the correct way to go to get a rook. What's the only move that black can play? Black can't go here, because we go check, we take the knight. So in this position, black has to go knight takes pawn. And this is the tricky position where someone nearly solved it. I think Nietzsche with rook c7. This nearly wins, but black just about survives now with this. And this is a draw. Even knight versus rook is a draw ending. So now the winning move, which I think it was Mac Z cheese. Was it? No, sorry, it was Max said chess, that's right, cheese, I'm getting confused with cheese, is rook c5. You play the most forcing move. You're threatening to take the knight. The knight can't move to any of these squares because it will be captured, so it has to go back to b7, and now you do play rook c6, and that is actually checkmate. So well done there for solving that one. Nice work. Okay, so let's move on to another puzzle. This one's, I don't know, we might get onto some blitz quite soon. But this one, and they might even get a little bit harder. Now, I think there's nothing wrong with showing extremely hard puzzles because we can work our way through them as you would try to do in an actual game of chess. You would try to work your way through the complications. Hello, Alakine's Cave. And this one is another one which is really beautiful. And one of the reasons I fell in love with chess and played it, I loved the competitive side. I loved going to tournaments. It's white to play and win if you want to try to work out the correct sequence here. White to play and win, and believe it or not, but black has some defensive moves, and it's a little bit like when the black rook has to try and check and get behind. So you've got to try and look at this one. But one of the reasons I fell in love with chess, I love competing in chess. I'd love, you know, it's nice to win, but I also loved when I saw a beautiful idea on the chessboard. Seeing a beautiful idea on chessboard, it's like seeing something beautiful piece of scenery. It's you know, like seeing something beautiful in life, beautiful piece of art. And the same can be said on the chessboard. The same can be said. Now let's make this one a little bit easier. The only way white's going to win is by pushing the pawn. And again, in order to work this out, you just use the process of elimination. So every move, in actual fact, is kind of forced. Because if one side doesn't play the right move, white could end up losing or black will end up losing. So b7 is obviously the right move to play. We're trying to queen, so we can put this on the board. Scottish Ramble Man. Looking forward to the football later. Should be quite fun. I used to play the Stonewall a lot in actual fact, and I really like the Stonewall. It's an opening I'd like to learn again, the Stonewall Dutch. The Leningrad I have played, but I just need to learn it a bit more to be confident. And so the answer is yes, and there's certainly openings I'd like to spend a bit more time learning. Okay, so in this position, what is the only way black can stop this pawn? And again, you know, the only way you can stop this pawn queening is by giving a check and trying to do something like this, yeah, getting the rook behind the pawn. Now, the point being here, and let me get this right, if you now take the bishop, how does black draw? What is the drawing idea here? And I'm just trying to work this out myself, actually. I'm just trying to work this out myself. What is the drawing idea here? I think I see it. How does black draw? So let's try to go through it. Process. Well done, Mac the Cheese. I keep calling you Max the Cheese, don't I? What's wrong with me? I love my cheese. You've got the right idea. Now you can't go here, funnily enough, because this is check, and I'm going to win your rook. And this is winning. But you can now go here, check first. Very clever move. When the king moves, you can get behind the pawn, give your rook up for the pawn, and it's a draw. So after the check here, if you take this bishop, you allow a draw. So if we're trying to win this position, we have to think of another option. Now if the king goes to this square, how can black draw now? Let's go through it one by one. What is black's way to draw now? And I think this one's slightly different. How do you draw this position? How do you draw this one? Black, I think black can just, you've got to try to find a way to draw. What is the way to draw this one? Only one way to draw. You can't do the check anymore. Yes, well done, Jen's Chess. You now go behind the pawn, and the difference is, yes, white can win the rook, but in this position, you've got an extra bishop, which makes a big bit of difference. You go king d8, and this is forced. The pawn can't queen. So you have to take the rook, and now if I get rid of your last pawn, it's a draw. The only way you can keep your last pawn is going bishop a6. If this bishop wasn't on the board, this would be winning, but as black's now to play, black can play bishop d5 and get rid of the last pawn there. So by using the process of elimination, and this is often how top players calculate in top games, you will find that the only move here is king d6. Now what is the point of this move? Well, the point is, if you go rook a6 check now, how can white win immediately in this position? What's the simplest way to win here? Unhealthy Carrot has found an interesting idea. What white to play and win? I think maybe king c7. No, king c7, rook a7. So bishop c6. We meet a check with a check, and next move we queen our pawn. So after king d6, the only move is rook b5. I'm making this a little bit easier. And now, in order to win, we have to take the bishop, correct? So we have to go bishop c6 check, king d8, and now this one. And this looks easily winning, right? This is easily winning. Because what can black do here? I'm going to queen my pawn. I can get ready to go and have a pint now, maybe a bit of dinner. I've won the game. Get in there, you know, just imagine yourself. But here, bizarrely, black has an amazing idea. And some of you have found the idea here, but it's still winning for white. So how should this game now end with correct play? And some of you are now saying that bishop c8 is a fantastic idea, but white is winning that position. Can you believe it? Well done, Jens Chess. You're on fire today, Jens. Well done. Well done. Unbelievable. Yes, so this is crazy and beautiful. The only way you can stop this one is going bishop c8. You're threatening to take the pawn, but the fun does not stop yet. If I get a queen now, it's stalemate. It's stalemate. The position is stalemate. If you get a knight in this position, this is a draw. Yeah, you're not even threatening checkmate here. Bishop against bishop and knight is a draw. Bishop against two bishops is a draw. And in this position, what would I play? I just play something like bishop here, so my king can just stay over here. This is a well-known theoretical draw. So getting a knight doesn't work. But if you get a bishop, now it's winning. This is one of the only times promoting to a bishop is the winning move. You're threatening bishop c7, checkmate, and there's no way that black can defend against this idea. Try. You can try defend if you want. How can you try defend? This is checkmate in most lines. And what a beautiful idea, right? Well, let's say you go bishop h3, trying to give your king an escape square. It's checkmate in two moves. How can we checkmate in two moves here? Can you see the checkmate in two moves? Both moves are checks. Checkmate in two moves. Check, check. How do we do it in two moves? Everyone, hopefully, will see this one. Checkmate in two moves. Yes, well done, Paragon. Check. King has to go here. Checkmate there. And what if the bishop, therefore, tries to go this way? Well, if it goes to a6, it's the same. Check. The king can't go anywhere else. It has to go here. Checkmate. And if the bishop finally goes to b7, what is the checkmate here? Checkmate in two moves here. Because now this square is blocked for the king escape. We can go check. The king has to go here. Checkmate there. Nice. 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 Imagine playing that in a game. Imagine you got to this position. I dream of having one. Yeah, let's just do it. Let's just do it. Okay, you ready? This is what you got to do. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, son. Put that in your pipe and boom, there you go. Have a little smoke of that one, son. Oh yes, in we go. Lovely jubbly, lovely jubbly. So just imagine. I sometimes just imagine if I got a finish like this in one game of chess. You know, you'd live off it for the rest of your life, right? It's probably like, you know, like getting married. It's like one of the big turning points of your life. You could be like, well, I had this finish once in a game of chess, and it's something you'd always have. Quite phenomenal, yeah. And this was actually 1933 by a German chap called GingerGM Fritz. Came up with this one. Okay, now maybe we'll just do one. Well, we're going to take one from a real game now. Just this is a little bit easier. And this is from a real game. And white, after the move knight d7, now started an attack. And he started an attack with e6. Knight takes c5. And he opens up the black king by checking it. The king runs away. Queen d5, attacking the knight. b6, defending. And now bishop d4, trying to get rid of the defenders of the black king. Thank you for the raid there. Very kind. We're looking at some chess problems. And now knight d3 came. Black trying to start a counter-attack. Because in this position, you can't go queen takes knight, because bishop takes g7 is check. I win the queen. Knight takes d3. And now white played rook takes e7. Black did take the knight. And rook e8, threatening rook takes rook checkmate. White has bishop f1 to block any checks on the back rank. So black tried to make his king an escape square, h6. And now can anyone see the nice checkmate pattern here? And it is checkmate now in about 4 moves. So white to play and checkmate. I'll tell you what, we'll put the first move on the board. Check. You can't take that one because you're pinned. You have to go king there. White to play and checkmate here. You might know it, Mac. You might know it. You're on the right wavelength there. So white to play and checkmate in this position. Very nice. And if king takes, Karthik 91. If king takes, it's checkmate as well. This is a nice one. This is a little bit easier, I think. Yes, we want to go. You always, when you're in such an aggressive position, you always got to try and look for the most forcing moves first of all. And I've never seen this checkmate pattern before, so it's quite unique. This, by the way, is a game 1949 between Albert Sandrin and Phil Le Cornu. If anyone recognises those players. Rook h8 check is a very beautiful move. Now, if you take with the king, it's very clear that white is winning after getting a queen. Check. You can't take that one because of the pin. And then going queen here, checkmate. One of the checkmates. But the very nice checkmate is if you go bishop takes, which occurred in the game. And this is another finish I would dream of having. If I was ever able to promote a pawn to a knight and give checkmate, I would just have to shout, "Put out your pipe and smoke it, son. Yeah, put out your pipe and smoke it." I mean, literally, if you were ever able, what is a more satisfying move than that? Promoting to a knight and giving checkmate. I mean, you could be the smuggest person in the world at that moment. Would there be an even smugger person anywhere in the world? What we got? You'll be the smuggest person out of 7.5 billion people. Is that how many people there are in the world? 7.5 billion, something like that. You would be the smuggest smug town. You would just have a smile on your face for at least a week, right? At least a week. I mean, just the pleasure of doing that. Put out your pipe and smoke it. Okay, now, the last one we're going to go to, before I try and play a little bit of Blitz, is this one. And it is white to play and win. Now, this one is who's the daddy? You would. I think I'd say put out, it would be like, yeah, I'd just explode on the board basically of excitement. What's that one where you combust? They say it's actually a real thing, yeah. It's a syndrome, isn't it? Like when you just burst into flames. Instant combustion. What is it? It's some weird 1. Okay, well done, guys. You're pretty much getting the right solution here. But there's a little some spontaneous. I think if I got that checkmate in, I was just spontaneously combust. I just literally would be right. My life is complete. See you all in the next one. Now, in this one, most of you got the right idea, but there is a little, as a lot of these puzzles have some little beauty to them that you have to look a little bit deeper into. And in this position, Alekine's cave is going the right idea, the right way. But there's only one way to win. So after the right move may be this check. King takes, we take there and get a knight, and that's winning. But if we go check King G7, how do you win there? And no one has found the solution yet. So the real question is check. If you go King H8, I get a queen, I mate. If you take, I get a knight, and I fork your king and your queen. But after the king goes to G7, there's only one move to win. You are a bit salty, aren't you? Salty clown. Why though? Why is that the only winning move, Mr. Salty? Why is that the only winning move? You salty clown. You salty clown. Why is that the only winning move? It's unbelievable. Let's have a look. And I'm gonna play because it's check. Well, let's have a look. So this move is clearly quite scary because we open up the rook, we get a check. But the real thing about this puzzle is got some hidden beauty. Now, if you take this one, we get a knight, right? Because we fork and we win the queen. We're a rook up. We're winning, okay? So if the king goes here, and again, you can use the process of elimination. One brilliant way to get better at chess is by... actually, is that stalemate? That's weird. If I take the queen, it's stalemate. Is that right? That's a weird stalemate. Hello. That's stalemate, right? Hang a minute. What do I do here, then? I think I have to take the queen first. I think... Hang a minute. What? This is confusing the hell out of me. It's taking the rook... Maybe I'll have to get a rook. This is crazy. Yeah, take the rook, and I think if I get a queen, if I have to get a rook, check, and now I take here because you've got these two squares, your king. That's quite fascinating. Look at that. Okay, we're going to have a look at that again. So after King G7, we can now see the point, and the point is, well, normally you'd want to take the rook, yeah, and get a queen, because now if King takes, we take here, and we're completely winning because we're a rook up. But after King takes bishop, this is a draw. This position is a draw. It's the same position we just looked at. Is there any way you can try winning this position? The problem is I'm threatening to take your rook, and I've got loads of ways to get perpetual checks. So I think you have to take the queen, and it's a draw. Wow. So what is the only way to win this one? There's only one way to win. Now I think if you push the pawn, it's a draw as well. Is that right? If you go h6, h6 looks very tempting. So if you go h6 check, takes knight, takes winning. So how does black draw this one? Take, can I go king f6? Is this a draw? Maybe king f6 is now a draw. I think this is a draw. Yeah? Because, but the winning move is, the only winning move in this position is to take here and get a bishop. I think this is the only winning move. And the point being now, if the king takes here, it's better to have a bishop than a queen. Because after we go rook takes queen, the black king has two squares, which it wouldn't do if that was a queen. And obviously, because it's got the two squares, you're a rook up, you're winning. That was a bit. This one's confusing me. Is anyone else confused? There's nothing wrong being. I'm confused. I'm confused here. So, getting a bishop is the only move, and next move we're going to take the queen, and we're winning. So, weird promotions. There you go. Whoa! I don't think it's that complicated. Whatever you take here, I'm a whole rook up. It's not complicated. A rook up is good enough to win. Yeah. It's complicated. It was a complicated puzzle. Okay, well, there's your little chess, like I say, lessons. Just a bit of fun there. Little 5 promotions where you have to think outside the box. What can you maybe learn from these examples? Maybe what you can learn from these examples is seeing winning easily at the start. What here? If you go here, check. Is this winning? Nice idea. I didn't see this, but maybe now we can play bishop g6, right? Maybe this is black's defense. Give the king and the square here. Maybe this is why black's okay. But what we can do is, like, when you're trying to solve 2 things, and I know one of the reasons Jabava got so strong at chess, one of the best chess players in the world, in an interview, he said he just spent a lot of time solving compositions, studies like this. Now, I don't really do that anymore. I mean, there's loads. I'm just going to get a book somewhere. I've got loads of books all around the shop. I mean, like, I haven't done this with this book, but this is a mammoth book. This is a very famous book that I know a lot of top players have gone through. It's really hard work, and I don't like the formatting. You can't even see it. The formatting's a bit ugly. But, you know, if you really, you know, there are study books you can go through to try and just to think creatively, to work things out. So that's one way you can try to get better. Another way you can try to get better is by just, you know, getting the right way of thinking. We saw all of these examples, even though they looked incredibly tough, and they were incredibly tough, they used the process of elimination. And the process of elimination is when, you know, you just find your way through the complications by eliminating the bad moves. You know, it's like in life, yeah? You've got, you know, let's say you're trying to escape from a house on fire. You can go down the stairs, but the stairs are raging on fire. You eliminate going down the stairs. You can try to go in the spare room, but the door's locked. Let's not do that. Or you can jump out the window. You have to jump out the window, don't you? The process of elimination. Yeah, old notation was that. I hope that wasn't me, MRGST, who did that. I hope that wasn't me who did that. There's many good chess books out there. We could do a whole new thing on chess books. Anyway, I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone who's watching on YouTube. I'm going to keep streaming, but I'm just going to put this video up on YouTube. So cheers. But everyone else, I'm still going to